Hi, and welcome to Ivy English. I'm Angela.
And I'm Wesley.
Today we're doing 2 news articles for you. And, the first article is about... It's just painful. It's about 5 billion smartphones became waste in 2022. This hurts my heart in such a deep way, but let's just read the article. Of the approximately 16 billion smartphones currently found worldwide, experts have estimated that around 5.3 billion have been either tossed out or stored away in the past year. Unfortunately, only 17% of this e-waste is recycled correctly, making e-waste one of the fastest-growing environmental concerns. Smartphones contain tiny amounts of precious metals like copper, gold, silver, and palladium that are not only difficult to mine, but vital to other industries. If not disposed of correctly, they can be highly toxic to the environment. So, making sure to safely recycle your old devices can reduce both pollution and the number of resources needed to be mined from the earth. Okay, I 100% agree with that last sentence. That is a true thing. Okay, so of the approximately 16 billion smartphones, when we say approximately, we mean more or less, or it's about this amount. Because with 16 billion, what's the difference of like 1 or 2? Like, geez, that is just a lot. And these are currently found worldwide. Like the reason why we say found is like you can find them, they exist. So you could say currently existing worldwide, or you can say currently found worldwide. It's not that people are going looking for them, it's that they exist to be found. That's what that means. So of these 16 billion phones, experts have estimated, to estimate something is to make like an educated guess. And they've educatedly guessed that around 5.3 billion of these phones have been either tossed out, which means thrown out or thrown away, or stored away, kept somewhere in a place in the past year. The interesting thing is lots of people don't know what to do with their old devices. I, for instance, have a stack of personal computers. Between my roommate and I, the stack of personal computers we have is quite high. And we don't throw them out because they used to be very personal objects. We can't use them. They're broken. That's why they're in a stack and not our current device. It's weird. So actually, so many people are storing in a huge amount of e-waste in their houses.
所以呢，我们先在解释之前，我们先看看这篇文章，它的中文标题是2022年50多亿只手机成为垃圾，所以我们要谈的是 e-waste， 就是电子垃圾。好，那这个刚刚 Angela 老师有提到，其实不止我们今天要讲的手机，很多人呢可能家里面有一大堆的笔电，旧的笔电堆在那边，因为也不知道怎么丢，而且里面可能会有一些蛮私人的一些资料，可能有旧照片啊或旧的档案什么的，丢了怕被人家拿去或怎么样，所以就只好堆在家里面，那是另外一种形式的 e-waste。那我们来看看这个句子，他说呢 of 就是在什么当中啊 the approximately 就是大约有这个160亿啊16 billion 的这个 smartphones 手机，那这些手机是怎么样 currently found 啊 currently 就是目前 found 在这里是找得到的意思，那就像刚刚 Angela 老师讲的，这个地方不是说你真的要去找，这个地方这个 found 其实它的意思就是存在的意思， they exist to be found 如果你要找的话可以找到这么多，但并不是说你真的要去找，所以这个其实意思就是有的意思。所以目前世界上大概有160亿只的手机 worldwide 是全世界的意思。那在这么多的手机当中呢 the of 就是在这么多的手机当中，专家们 experts 他们估计的estimate 是估计是有一些根据来估计的，估计怎么样呢？大概会有53亿只手机 have been， 所以160亿只里面呢大概有53亿只呢已经要么就是 either 或者 either， 要么就是 tossed out 就是丢出去了。好，那这个 toss 就是 类似中文的扔的意思，它是 throw， 但是它通常是 throw casually， 就你随便这样丢一下，或者是 lightly， 就很轻松就这样把它丢掉了，或者是有时候是突然之间 a sudden jerk， J-E-R-K， 就突然之间这样用力丢一下，那都是 toss 的意思，跟其他的字不太一样的地方。那各位可以记一个很棒的一个，我觉得可以让你了解这个字的用法，就是 he tossed the shirt on the floor。 有时候男生一回家这个衣服脱了就乱丢，就 toss the shirt on the floor， 这反正有人会 pick up， 那这个就是 toss 这个动作。好，所以这些手机要么就扔掉了，要么就是 stored away， 就 kept away in some place， 就是束之高阁的意思。这个 stored away 翻成中文的束之高阁是非常合适的。那这些是怎么样呢？仅仅是 in the past year， 在过去一年当中大概就有53亿只，要么就被丢掉了，要么就束之高阁了，不用了。
Unfortunately, only 17% of this e-waste, less than 20% of it, is recycled correctly. To recycle something is to take apart the various parts and put it back into the stream of materials used for production. So only 17% of this is actually reused, making e-waste, electronic waste, one of the fastest growing environmental concerns. A concern is a worry.
好，所以呢这个 e-waste， 这个 e 就是 electronic 电子的意思。好，所以呢这句话说 unfortunately， 很不幸的是在这些电子垃圾当中大概只有 17% 是怎么样 is recycled correctly。 好， recycled 就是被回收。那我觉得 correctly 这个字用的蛮妙的，因为有的时候呢有些人可能觉得你 you recycled it， 但是呢 incorrectly， 就是你可能觉得丢到这个地方，丢到垃圾桶里面就是 correctly 了，但其实不是。好，所以你不但要 recycle， 而且要 correctly recycle， 蛮重要的。好，所以这里面只有 17% 被以正确的方式正确的回收了。那使得 making 这个分词，好，使得 e-waste 成为 one of the fastest growing 成长最快速的 environmental concerns， 就是环保问题当中的一个，就是成长最快速的环保问题当中的一个，就是 e-waste。 那 concern 这个字呢，它就是 something that causes anxiety， 所以它就是个 problem， it's a source of unhappiness， 你想到这个就觉得哎呀开始担心了。
So smartphones contain tiny amounts of precious metals. So metals are things like iron, steel, those are the same thing, different forms. Copper, metals. But precious metals are harder to find and more expensive metals. And these things are like copper, gold, silver, and palladium. Copper is largely used in wires, and in olden days, they were used for plumbing, because lead being used for plumbing put lead into people's drinking waters, which made people stupid. So the higher end version of it was copper. Now we do steel or plastic water pipes. Anyways, palladium is something that is a really rare precious metal, and it's not a traditional precious metal, but it's something that's used a lot in electronics these days. So these kinds of metals are not only difficult to mine, but vital to other industries. So here we have a thing where they're not just one thing, but they're also another thing. So it's hard to mine them. It's hard to get them out of the earth, to find them, first of all, and then get them out of the earth without destroying a bunch of stuff or hurting people. But they're also vital they're very important in a life-dependent way to other industries. A lot of other industries also need these materials.
好，所以这一句告诉我们说 smartphones 就是智慧型手机 contain 它们包含了 tiny amounts of 就是微量的。好，因为这个数量不会是只有一个，所以它是要加 s， tiny amounts of precious metals 就是贵金属，就比较稀有比较昂贵的金属。例如呢 copper 是铜， gold 是金， silver 是银，然后呢 palladium 是钯，一个金字旁在一个巴西的巴。那这些东西呢 that are not only 不但是 difficult to mine 很难开采， mine 就是开采， but 同时呢它们也是 vital to other industries。 vital to 就是至关重要，对于其他的工业来讲也很重要。那 vital 这个字呢，其实它就是所谓的 life sustaining， 它非常的重要，重要到它会跟生命维持有关系的那样子一种重要性。 好，那 life sustaining 那 sustain 就是 S-U-S-T-A-I-N-I-N-G 好，所以大家记得 vital 这个字表示 very important 如何的 important 呢 It's life sustainingly important。But
the life we're talking about is the life of the industry, that the industry can continue on, not that it's vital to human life, okay? Now, if not disposed of correctly, if you dispose of something, you throw it out or get rid of it. So if it's not thrown out in the proper way, they can be highly toxic to the environment. So if you throw your old smartphone into the garbage and it then, like in Taipei City, goes into the incinerator, then as it gets burnt up, it's releasing these toxic things into the air. This is why we also don't like to throw out mercury light bulbs into the garbage. And mercury light bulbs are all of them now. If you see a spiral light bulb, it's got mercury in it. If you throw it into the garbage and it gets burned, then you're throwing mercury into the air. If you throw it into the garbage and it gets put in the landfill, you have stored mercury in a toxic place for the next 1,000 bunch of years. So take care of your light bulbs and your electronics properly. Find out what your city does to take care of them.
所以这个废弃物处理真的很重要，因为像这个刚刚讲到电灯泡里面的那个水银，所以电灯泡如果你直接丢垃圾，它拿去烧的话，那个其实水银燃烧都会产生毒素的。好，所以这个地方讲到说，如果没有 disposed of 就是被丢弃，如果没有正确的被丢弃 correctly 的话呢，它们可以是变成 highly toxic 非常毒，也就是具有剧毒 to 对于什么来讲会有剧毒呢？对于 the environment 对于环境来讲是有剧毒的。
So, making sure to safely recycle your old devices can reduce both pollution, so putting poison into our atmosphere, and the number of resources needed to be mined from the earth, so we don't have to find as many metals if we can reuse the ones we have.
好，所以呢，底下这个句子的主词是个动名词片语 making sure to 就确保要 safely recycle 安全的回收 your old devices 你的旧的装置devices 就是装置，这里指的就是手机，所以呢，你要确保正确的回收你的旧手机，这样的一件事情呢，可以 reduce 可以减少 both 两样东西，第一个减少 pollution 减少污染，第二个可以减少 the number of resources 就是这个资源的量什么资源的量呢？这些 resources 是 that are needed to be mined from the earth 就是需要从地球里面开采的这些资源，那你也可以减少这些必须要从地球里面开采的资源的量因为要从地球里面开采出来就没有了所以这我们还是要尽量要节约。
Now our second article for today is Switzerland sets world record for longest passenger train. Now, we're not talking about the longest train tracks or how far it can go. We're talking about the actual train, how physically long it can be. And I just want to tell you that the material limit for this is how strong your engine is, because after a certain point, the engine cannot move this train. So that's the limiting factor here.
Yeah, 好，所以我们的文章标题是瑞士创世界最长火车纪录，好，那是最长的 passenger train， 就是载客的火车。那当然，这个载客火车的长度，最后的取决标准是你的引擎的力量有多大，好，引擎能不能拖得动这个火车。
And I also want to point out something. They did this on a mountain. I have a childhood friend, a guy I knew when I was a child, was describing being a train driver, and he drove through the American West. And he was like, when you're going over the Rocky Mountains, when you're trying, you have to sort of be very careful about speed because you're trying to pull or push this giant train up the mountain. But the most dangerous parts is when part of your train is already over the top and going down the other way. Because then you've got part of your train is pulling and part of your train is pushing. And if you're pushing up the one part, the other train is pulling. If you get too much speed pushing up, when you get over the top, suddenly all that speed turns into downward speed. So it's very tricky in terms of pushing a train because they're so long, and especially when slopes change. So trains are much harder than you think to drive. Trains on the flat, no problem, but trains on a slope, you have to have a lot of skill. Okay, knowing all of that, or I should let you translate first.
Yeah, 好，那是刚刚 Angela 讲说，他认识一个在美国驾驶火车的一个朋友他说呢，在这个落基山脉开火车的时候，有碰到山坡的时候，上上下下，那最 难的地方其实是你在后面推火车车厢上坡的时候呢，到了某一个点会有一些车厢已经过了那个坡，它就会有往下加速的力量。好，那这个时候呢，你这个要非常小心，因为你这个突然之间那么多的力量推火车，突然之间那个力量不见了，而且还反而变成一个往下拉的力量，那你后面的火车或者是你的火车头的控制就非常重要。
So, let's read the article with these things in mind. In honor of the 175th anniversary of its first railway, Switzerland set the world record for the longest passenger train. The nearly 2-kilometer-long train consists of 100 coaches and weighs about 3,000 tons. The train traveled on the UNESCO World Heritage Albula Line, which is known for its soaring mountain views and for being a civil engineering masterpiece. Several challenges had to be overcome to accomplish this feat. The Albula line is famous for its steep inclines and use of narrow-gauge tracks. So the 7 train drivers and 21 technicians running the train needed to be perfectly in sync. A temporary field telephone system was set up to ensure smooth communication between the front, middle, and rear of the train.Wow, they didn't say, but normally when a train gets very long, they have an engine at the front and at the back. And now I'm wondering, did they also have an engine in the middle? You'd have to. It's 2 kilometers long. Did they have 7 engines? I'm so interested. I've got to find out more.
Yeah, 好，那通常火车呢，比较长的火车，它可能车头车尾都会有火车头，都会有一个这个引擎。那但是这个地方呢，看起来这个火车它有这个非常的长，好，所以它说不定除了头尾之外，中间搞不好也有一个火车头啊，甚至于搞不好，因为它这里讲有7个这个 train drivers， 好，所以搞不好他们有7个火车头，不知道啊，这个还要再去查一查，但这个很有趣的一些细节啊。
So, in honor of the 175th anniversary of its first railway, so Switzerland has had railway trains for 175 years. Wow. And they set the world record for the longest passenger train. They did this on purpose.
好，所以呢 in honor of 就是为了要纪念他们的 first railway 第一条铁路已经175周年了，所以这个瑞士他们的火车已经有这个第一条铁路开通已经是175周年了。然后呢，所以为了要纪念这件事情，他们 set the world record 就是创了世界纪录。好，那后面加一个 for 就什么的世界纪录呢？他们创了一个最长的载客火车的纪录。
So the nearly 2-kilometer long train, wow, it's almost 2 kilometers long. It consists of, or is made up of, 100 coaches. A coach is a car. But since cars, and they used to be called cars, but since cars are now been used for, cars, we now call train cars coaches to make it clear. But bus transporting people type things are also called coaches because basically, if you want to transport people in a box on wheels, it's called a coach. So each of these coaches weigh about 3,000 tons. These are not light things. And there's 2 kilometers of them.
好 nearly 将近这个有将近2公里长的火车 consists of 就是由什么组成呢？由100节 coaches 就是车厢。好 coach 有很多意思，在这里它是指 a railroad passenger car， 那就是车厢。那 car 也可以用来指车厢。然后呢，它重量是大概3000公吨。
And they didn't do this on just a short, flat piece of train. No, they had to travel on the UNESCO World Heritage Albula Line, which is very famous because it has soaring mountain views and because it is a civil engineering masterpiece. A masterpiece means it is the best work of the people who built it. And it really is. The bridges, the tunnels, the way the track is built on this incredibly difficult terrain really is a civil engineering masterpiece.
好，那这个火车呢 traveled 它行驶在这个 UNESCO 就是联合国教科文组织的一个世界遗产的一条那个火车路线。好，这个 Albula Line。 好，那 which 就是指这条路线呢 is known for 以什么著名呢？以它的 soaring mountain views。 soaring 就是高耸的，它高耸的这个 mountain views 就是山景啊。然后呢 and for 这个 for 就是 is known for 啊，这个 for 再重复一次，让你比较清楚这个结构。所以它第一个是以这个高耸的山景非常的著名。那另外一个著名的是它是一个 being， 它是一个 civil engineering 就是土木工程的一个 masterpiece 杰作。
several challenges, more than one challenge, had to be overcome, had to be solved to accomplish this feat, to achieve this thing. A feat means a difficult thing to do.
好，那有几个挑战 had to be overcome， 必须要克服，必须要被克服。好 ，in order to 才能够 accomplish 完成这个 feat。feat 是一个壮举 ，an act or accomplishment of great skill 或者是 great courage 之类的。
So the albular line is famous for its steep inclines. An incline is a slope, and steep means that the slope is very tough.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's not a lot of words other than steep. It goes up very quickly. And the use of narrow gauge tracks. It is for old-fashioned trains. So it's not your typical wide gauge track, and this matters to how the train behaves.
Yeah, 好，那这条火车路线呢 is famous for 好，另外一个片语表示它是以什么闻名呢？以它的 steep 就是陡峭的，好 ，having a sharp inclination， 或者是有一个比较难的字，哈，这个可能是 GRE 的智慧啊 ，precipitous。
Oh yeah, precipitous.
Yeah， 那很难，所以难就是不常用了，但是各位知道一下也好，因为有时候在阅读的时候会读到这个字。那 precipitous 它的拼法是 PRECIPITOUS。然后这个 inclines 就是 the slope 啊，它是 a slope 或者是一个 a gradient GRADIENT 就是陡坡的意思，所以 steep 很陡峭的爬坡 inclines 啊，然后呢，同时它也有名的是它使用了 narrow gauge 就是窄轨的 tracks， 这个铁轨是窄轨的 gauge 这个字呢本来指的就是铁轨的宽度啊，但后来变成动词变成 measure 的意思。
Yes, thank you for all that. No, that was super important. So the 7 train drivers, and 21 technicians, these are people whose job is to keep things together, body and soul. These guys, these men and women running the train needed to be perfectly in sync. In sync is it means they're done. Everything is done perfectly at the same time in the exact same way. Sync comes from synchronous, which is synchronous. Chronos is time and syn means together. So done in the same time, but also the exact same action.
好，所以呢，有7个火车驾驶，哈，7位火车驾驶，然后有21位技术人员，那他们都怎么 running the train？ 他们操作运作这个火车，那这些人呢 needed to 他们必须要 be perfectly in sync. To be in sync 就是 to be in harmony 好，就是协调的意思，不管怎么样就是要同时或怎么样要把它协调好，所以他们必须要非常完美的这个协调，完全的同步，事实上它不只是协调，它通常就是只要同步了，要同步的操作，这样才可以把这个火车安全的驾驶。
So a temporary field telephone system was set up. Basically, they ran a telephone wire from the beginning to the end of the train and connected headsets to it and turned it into a train-specific telephone system. And that was set up to make sure that there was smooth communication between the front, middle, and rear, or back, or end of the train. Because you're doing 2 kilometers over steep inclines, you need to know what everyone else is doing.
好，所以呢 a temporary 暂时性的 field telephone system 就是一个野战的电话系统，所谓野战其实就是野外使用的一个电话系统，它可能自己有电池，或者甚至于它可能不需要电池，那这样的一个系统呢被设置 was set up， 那目的是要 ensure 要确保 smooth communication 就顺畅的沟通或者顺畅的通讯 between 在什么之间要有顺畅的通讯呢 the front 火车的前端中段还有rear 就是火车的后段，必须要有一个顺畅的沟通或者通讯。
Yes. You know, it reminds me a little bit of dragon boats racing through canals. The front people are already turning while the back people are still pushing and some people are braking just so that the turn can happen. That's exactly how it works on a train, except vertically.
Yeah, 好，所以这个有点像这个划船、划龙舟的时候啊，这个前后中的人都必须要能够协调，要能够这个同步的做动作，才能够把这个龙舟让它转向等等的。
Okay, so that's our news articles for today. Hope you were entertained and also educated. And please join us again tomorrow for more Ivy English. Until then, bye-bye.